we're sitting looking through the pictures and the extracts here from Shirley Ballas's new book. 3 years since Shirley took over as head judge on Strictly. But what was her life like before all of that and before she conquered ballroom as a world champion?
World champion more than once.
More than once, a national champion and all sorts of things. Anyway, the book is called Behind the Sequins. It's a new autobiography. Shirley, thank you very much indeed for joining us and telling us about it.
Well, thank you. I have to say that it was really quite a difficult to write, because I think in our life we trolley on forward and we put everything in our backpack, and I had to take everything out and relive my life from the beginning through my engagements to husbands, the death of my brother and so many other things, and to where I ended up on Strictly as the head judge, which was a turning point for me.
And why now, Shirley? Because I'm sure you've been asked to write a autobiography before, or somebody should do a biography. Why did you choose now?
Because I think I wanted to inspire everybody who is told, you will never achieve this. You come from a council estate, you will never achieve this. You will never reach those dreams, to show you that against all odds that you can. You know, and then you have these marriages and you're a dancer, and then you fall in love and you're together as a unit, and all the passion and the ugliness that goes along with it all. It's just not all what people think.
Well, tell me this. You're there and you have got to give marks to dancers, marks for perfection. If you, behind the sequence, were looking at Shirley Ballas and what we will read about in this book, what mark would you give her?
Well, I think for effort and revealing my soul, I'd have to give it 11 out of 10.
And actually, you say, Shirley, that people telling you can't do this, you'll never make it. The one person who hasn't done that is your wonderful mum. You say she's been your constant and encouraged you all the way.
I just couldn't imagine my life without my mother. You know, I talked to her 2 or 3 times a day. She read the book, the first brief, and had a good look at it, and lots of tears and lots of memories. And yeah, she is my go-to person. She's my life, actually.
And I'm looking at her younger pictures, and you look very like her as well. Are you like her in temperament?
No, my mother is tiny, 5 feet in stature, weighs about 110 pounds, something like that. But she is a fiery, fiery woman. You know, she rules the roost, put it that way. And most people think I'm quite bossy, but she rules the roost, that little lady.
I was laughing, Shirley, because I read that she'd said she didn't think that you had been, well, not unkind, but, you know, you've been quite kind to your 2 former husbands, and your mum said, you know, she thought you could have gone in a bit more on them.
She felt that I was fair in the journey and how I put things. Of course, there's a lot that you don't get a chance to put in the book, but I was happy with the way it came out. Of course, everybody remembers it the way they need to remember it, and this all is from my perspective, so...
Well, could you, if you were in the position of agony aunt today, what would you say to someone who would have the choice to work with their married partner? do you think it is a difficult ask, or what's your advice?
I think it is 100% very difficult to be around somebody 24/7, 7 days a week, Saturdays, Sundays and holidays. Very, very difficult. You know, so I wouldn't recommend it. It's nice if you have a little bit of space. I wouldn't change anything of what I did. That was my life. Dance gave me my life. Yeah. But was it difficult in those marriages and making choices and which way should I go? It was like swimming upstream. So no, I think the way I see Danny is really nice. He has his job, I have my job. Yeah. He goes away, I go away, we meet and we have this lovely time together. So.
It's lovely to hear you say you wouldn't change anything, because I think, you know, a lot of us, if you look back at life and choices you made, decisions you made, some of us might say, I wish I hadn't made that. But I do note, Shirley, that you often say you do wonder what life would have been like had your father had stayed around. You didn't have a father figure growing up. What do you think about how your life might have been with him?
Well, you know, I've had a turbulent relationship with my father through the years, little bits here and there. Wasn't there when I was a small child. And I often wondered what it would be like to be daddy's girl, and those things I harboured and carried even though I didn't realise I was. Writing the book from my perspective about him was difficult to write, but I wrote honestly and from the heart and how I felt. I mean, today I see him occasionally, so, you know, it's difficult. The whole write was just difficult.
And I know you're incredibly close to your mum, incredibly close to your lovely son, Mark. Did you run things past him, or are there things that he's read that he didn't know about your life?
My mother had the first run through. My son had the fifth and final run through of the book, so that he could go through, and there were some things he knew, but not a lot that he knew in there. And he found it. Some was fun. He was crying at some point and couldn't continue reading. There was drama. There's the intrigue. There's lies, betrayal, love, drama. You mentioned it. That book has it. And I think for my son, it was enlightening. And I think he will now understand me a lot better. Although I have to say, he's the most amazing son. I know we all think our kids are great, but he's very understanding, and he's helped me a lot with this book.
Just for the record, you're looking at a former British world champion, as well as European, German, UK, USA, and international Latin American champion before she retired in 1996 for competitive dancing. So then you get the judge, the lead judge job on Strictly, which must have meant a lot to you. You know, it must be a great endorsement. And then you fall out, or they fall out with you, some of your judges. And in this case?
Well, Craig, I know you had words with Craig, didn't you? And he, probably knowing Craig jokingly, had said some things about you, which you weren't happy about, but you did confront him.
I did, and it was quite a lot. I think he was at a dinner and he was making fun of my breasts and body and this and that and the other. And, you know, I don't think he realised the issues that I state in my book. I think also when he reads the book, he'll understand me much better as a woman. You can't take words back. And sometimes you think it's funny. I've been told many times, my first husband, second husband, you need to develop a sense of humour. But unfortunately, some things that are said to you are not humorous. And it is the mistake of the man who doesn't realise that with women. I don't need anybody to critique me. I can do that myself, and a darn good job of it.
So did he take that on board, Shirley? Because he probably didn't appreciate how that would make you feel, because he's always cracking jokes, Craig, as we know.
The thing I love the most about Craig, and actually I got a beautiful message from him this morning, he apologised. I'm good at moving on. He's good at moving on. We work well together. He is amazing on the show, and he's become very, very close to my heart. You know, and sometimes even in the workplace, you have these little moments. It's best to deal with them, say your piece, and move on. I've tried to do that all the way through my life, through so much bullying from my perspective, that I forgive people for saying and doing things behind my back that are absolutely awful. And I just forgive, say it, move on.
Well, she said it. She said it all in this book. It's called Behind the Sequins by Shirley Ballas. Good luck with it, Shirley.
Well done,
Very
Shirley.
lovely talking to you. And good luck with the new series.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Always
Shirley.
a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.